Author and intimacy expert Laura M. Brotherson, host of the Marital Intimacy Show, educates and inspires women to create a mutually fulfilling, intimate, and passionate marital relationship, emotionally, spiritually, and sexually.
Hi there. Welcome to the Marital Intimacy Show. My name is Laura Brotherson. Thanks for tuning in today. Well, we get to talk about sex again today. Don't you just love it? The topic of this episode, number 14, is auditory arousal. Sometimes women just need a little nudge during lovemaking to either increase their arousal or to push them over the edge into an orgasm. There just seems to be something about women that makes them particularly attuned to hearing words or auditory expressions that are pleasing to them. Maybe it's because women tend to be wired for communication and expression of emotion, that adding more auditory expressions into the bedroom, or the rest of their lives for that matter, can have a real profound effect on the intimate relationship. So I wanted to share with you some of my book, And They Were Not Ashamed, Strengthening Marriage Through Sexual Fulfillment, where I talk about this very thing, this auditory arousal. So as I read this little segment, I want you to watch for the following things. Number 1, how women may have a special connection to verbal expression. Number 2, how verbal sexual expression can heighten sexual pleasure. Number 3, how to be more attentive to the right kind of auditory expressions. Number 4, how verbal expressions can make lovemaking an even more emotionally connecting experience. Number 5, how auditory expressions can reduce a woman's self-consciousness, allowing her to be more present or more fully engaged in the lovemaking experience. That's a big one. Number 6, how verbal interactions can help each spouse be a better lover for each other. And number 7, how opening yourself up verbally can help couples overcome fears, vulnerabilities, and increase sexual surrender. And lastly, number 8, I provide some specific tips for increasing auditory arousal in your lovemaking. So let's go. So I'm reading from pages 133 in my book, And They Were Not Ashamed. So here we go. Kisses and caresses may be a turn-on, but so can verbal sexual strokes, especially for women. Though men can also be aroused with words, women may have a special auditory system that makes verbal expressions of love particularly pleasurable. Tim LaHaye stated, quote, "Rarely does one hear a man say, 'Her voice excites me,' whereas it is common to hear a woman exclaim, 'His voice turns me on.' That auditory mechanism can be likened to the thermostat on the wall of your home. Entering the house at night, you can turn her thermostat up by speaking reassuring, loving, approving, or endearing words. You can likewise turn her thermostat down through disapproval, condemnation, or insults." Auditory expressions of sexual emotions can unlock arousal during lovemaking. This requires honesty, trust, and tender vulnerability between husband and wife. Whether it is the feelings shared and the associated emotional connection, or some kind of physiological sexual trigger in the auditory system, verbal sexual expression can heighten sexual pleasure and even unlock the door to sexual ecstasy. One couple found great sexual benefit from verbal expressions. Their marriage counselor, Dr. Barbara DeAngelis, shared their experience. The first major change both Lisa and Greg made was to express much more of how they were feeling during lovemaking. Lisa began asking for what she wanted from Greg instead of hoping he'd just figure it out himself. Greg worked on telling Lisa more of what he was feeling inside while they made love, rather than just thinking about how wonderful it was. At first, they were embarrassed to be so open and vulnerable, but they soon noticed that their feelings of intimacy and trust for each other deepened. The more Lisa asked for what she wanted, the more she received it, and the happier she felt. The more Greg expressed his love for Lisa, along with feeling his own pleasure, the more turned on Lisa got, and the more pleasure Greg felt. Joe Beam counseled husbands about auditory arousal as a means of lovemaking in marriage. He shared the example of King Solomon from the Bible. One thing Solomon, did was talk to her, telling her what he was doing or going to do. He understood her love of poetic language. Talk to your wife as you begin making love to her. Caress her with words throughout the entire lovemaking experience. Of course, you shouldn't say things that will turn her off. Rather, use the poetic language that will light her fire, whatever that means for her. Some women like it more primal, and some more aesthetic. Solomon also understood her desire to share not only her body, but her emotions. He made love to her with every part of his body, including his vocal cords. Auditory arousal is also one way couples stay connected emotionally during lovemaking. Sheila shared an experience she had where verbal expressions made her feel close and cherished by her husband, providing erotic fuel to her escalating fire. As her arousal began to build, her husband began to voice some of his sexual feelings and observations of her in a way that was very romantic and sexy. She quickly progressed to the heights of orgasm and became convinced of the power of his verbal expressions as the key that unlocked the door to her ecstasy. Sheila felt that when her husband spoke to her and of her, the verbal expressions kept her focused in the moment. When he did not include arousing words of adoration during lovemaking, she felt disconnected from him, and her arousal waned. She also began to feel more self-conscious during lovemaking, a sure inhibitor of a building intimate fire. Verbal expressions need not be limited to the husband. The wife can also communicate her sexual feelings, increasing her arousal and emotional connection. Her expressions of pleasure and sensation can facilitate a shift in focus from her daily cares and concerns to the wonderful world of arousal. Thoughts of the day and tomorrow's to-do list fade as women surrender to their sexual sensations. Stretching yourself to open up verbally with your sexual thoughts and feelings can cause the sensual surrender that is needed for complete sexual fulfillment. It may be new and awkward to be so open and vulnerable, either asking for your husband's verbal expressions or outwardly sharing your own, but it can be worth the effort. Victoria found that as she expressed her pleasure and sexual desires, it not only increased her own arousal, but also gave loving encouragement and guidance to her husband. During lovemaking, she would say, "I love it when you," every time her husband would do something she liked. She also said it when she thought of something she wanted her husband to say or do, as if to suggest it to him. Their lovemaking was filled with, "I love it when you," ... and she found herself more easily moving into the state of arousal and orgasm. Couples can engage in auditory arousal by expressing more of how they're feeling during lovemaking. Focus on expressing what you like in an affirming way to avoid discouraging your partner. Use I statements when expressing what you don't like in order to be considerate of your spouse's feelings. To apply the art of auditory arousal to your lovemaking, it may be helpful to create a list of words, phrases, or statements that turn you on. The following phrases may help to prompt you. "I love it when you look at me like that." "I love it when you touch me there." "I love it when you... You are so... It turns me on when you... It turns me on when you tell me... As you awaken more fully to your sexual senses and to your sexual self, add to your intimate treasury of verbal expressions and specific sexual guidance during lovemaking. This information can unlock the door to your exquisite sexual enjoyment and be a priceless gift not only to your spouse, but also to yourself. End quote. All right, so there you have it, some great stuff about how auditory arousal can really fuel the fire in lovemaking. I encourage you to add this to your lovemaking and just see what happens. I'd love to hear about it. So send me an email at laura@strengtheningmarriage.com, or you can post something anonymously on the Marital Intimacy Show blog or the Marital Intimacy Show Facebook page if you'd like. This has been episode number 14, Auditory Arousal, on the Marital Intimacy Show with Laura M. Brotherson. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope it was well worth it for you. So we'll be back soon with more great insights for strengthening your marriage intimately. Remember, you can always check in at our website, www.strengtheningmarriage.com, to learn more. And the website for the Marital Intimacy Show is themaritalintimacyshow.com. Until next time, this is Laura Brotherson with the Marital Intimacy Show. Have a great day, and make yours a great marriage.